It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care, with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 562, Shay's Weight Loss Journey, weekly updates.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. Shay is back. What's up, Shay?
Hey, girl. How you doing?
Good. So last week, we didn't get an update because I was in Michigan and I was gone, and I actually had people being like, oh, there's no Shay update today. And I'm like,
oh man.
I'm sorry I couldn't record. I was on the road.
That's awesome.
So how have the past 2 weeks been?
The past 2 weeks have been okay. This week has been good, actually. For the first time in a couple months, I feel like I'm in control of eating and being able to reason with myself before I go and binge. So it's been better.
That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
So have you been tracking your weight at all? Or are you not feeling that? Where are you at with that?
So I've been tracking because I don't ever want to I'm always worried that if I don't weigh myself, I'm gonna go way back. So yeah, I've just been kind of hanging out in the same spot. But I talked to Josh. I'm gonna start having him weigh me once a month for accountability.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that'll be good.
We never got to talk about your results of doing the in-body machine again from when you started to where you're at now.
Yeah, so we did. My measurements were really cool. I've lost 1.25 inches just in my freaking neck, which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I always joke that before I lost weight, I had no neck. So
I understand. Well, that's
where was it?
Well, one of the times that while I was yo-yo dieting, it was before my wedding. My whole goal was, I'm I don't care what the number on the scale is. I'm I just want to not have so many chins in my wedding pictures. That was legit the goal at the time, was just less chins for my wedding pictures. Because my face is one of the first things that gains weight. My face is just,
yeah.
And I already have this big round oval face. And so, I understand the neck. And that's one of those things too, where you don't think you're going to lose weight, or also your feet, where you go down shoe sizes and stuff too.
And I think I shrunk because I don't have as much fat on the bottom of my feet. I was now I'm even shorter than I was before.
I was too. I got shorter too. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, for sure. Because when I went to the doctor, they were like, well, we're just going to say you're 5'1". I was like, does that mean I'm not? I'm not quite. I was almost 5'2". So now, what's happening?
Yeah, I was I fully thought I was 5'6" or around 5'6", and I'm 5'4" now.
Yeah, I was totally 5'2", and now they're like, well, we'll say you're 5'1". It's just what I needed. Literally just what I needed was to get even shorter.
No, it's just going to get worse as you get older, I guess. It's your
I don't want to. I can't even think about that. As my bones crush into the earth. I can barely buy pants now. What am I going to do when I'm old? I'm going to be tripping over my own pants. I'm going to have to learn how to hem.
That's true. Yeah, because being 5'1", 5'4", I'm obviously taller than you, and I already have a problem with I have to find the short jeans or pants or whatever. Otherwise, they're just all bunched all over my feet.
I buy extra short.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Sure is now for people like me. And what's been hard my whole life is they assume that if you're bigger, you're taller. Like, I'm like, no, just because I'm like a larger size does not mean I'm a taller person. Because as you get a bigger size, they get freaking longer.
You know what? That reminds me of this backhanded weird compliment I got once. And I was in the process of losing weight, and it was a radio station thing I had to do at like this spa. And I was doing like a treatment there, and she's just like, oh, you just have such a tiny frame. Like, once you lose all that weight, it'll look so much better on you on your little tiny frame. Like, you're just like, that's a lot to carry. And you're just, and she just kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, okay, like, wow, I'm just like a skeleton like everybody else, right? Don't we all have like a tiny frame? We're just bones. And I'm like, geez, like, I'm like, okay, all right, I got it. Like, well, I'm like, for me, I'm like, I thought I was like in an awesome spot. Like, I already lost a bunch of weight and I was feeling good. And I'm like, apparently I still look like a freaking monster to this chick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
people have no clue. Like, she said that to you and you're like, oh, I thought I was in a good place, but
yeah, and that's
when I lose all that weight.
Yeah, there's the thing too of like, oh, you're so short, you're gonna lose all that weight, it's just round. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, those were people, I guess, I don't know where the compliment. There was another time too, this is unrelated, but just one of those things of like, what? Where I was getting my eyebrows waxed. She was like, oh, you want your mustache done too? And I'm like, I don't.
Oh my God.
Mustache? Like, I'm never coming back to Regis in the mall again.
That's your mistake. You were at Regis.
I know. Well, that was the only option at the time.
The question I always get is it easier for you to stand all day at work now that you've lost all that weight? I'm like, yeah, I was really struggling before. I couldn't even stand all day. It's crazy.
Well, it's weird that people, I mean, well, you had the whole scenario with the chick that you work with that said awful things to you about your weight, but it's like where you brought up too, the clients have said stuff to you too. And like, it's just, maybe it's just because I've lived this my whole life that I just know to say nothing.
Yeah.
Like, just say nothing.
Don't comment on anyone's size.
No, or just even just such a slippery slope and a trap pretty much to just comment on anybody's bodies in any way of like, again, even if you think that you're saying a good thing of like, oh, you look so good now. Like, well, now, so I didn't before. So I look like a monster before. And it's just when you're already dealing with all of those demons in your own head. And when somebody says that with the best of intentions, it's just so easy for you to just go into this, oh my God. And then you just tear yourself apart even more. It's awful.
I know.
But
yeah. And you're like, wow, what did you think of me before is always the crazy thing to think about.
Yeah. And I've seen, because I like weight loss videos and stuff like that and dietitians and stuff on TikTok. So I see a lot of those people that are sharing their stories on my For You page. And I see a lot of people are like, oh my God, people treat me so differently now that I've lost weight. And I'm like, see, that's where I'm torn. I'm like, I haven't noticed like this huge hard shift, maybe because it was such a long period of time for me to lose. And I move around so much that I think that people just have known me at different stages of my life. But for me, I guess I want to ask you if like you've seen like this hard cut, people treat you differently in a drastic way, because I didn't really notice that much personally, but I'm also just kind of like dumb and don't notice stuff like that sometimes.
I haven't really noticed people treating me that different. It's more like my clients that have known me like since I was bigger, it's like every time they see me, they have to comment on what I look like. And it's like, I see them every like 4 weeks, every 8 weeks. And it's like every time they say something. And at this point, it's like, okay, I've lost a significant amount of weight. It's been that way for a hot minute. We can quit talking about it now.
Yeah.
So that gets a little bit old. So, I mean, and I've noticed I obviously get more attention from men now, which is like, can be obnoxious. But other than that, I don't really feel like people treat me much differently.
Like, how are men treating you differently?
I just get like, they bother me more. Like, they think they're being nice when they're like saying things to you out in public, but really it's like, cool, thanks for just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit more obnoxious, but other than that, I feel like people kind of just treat me the same. So, which is a good thing. I would be annoyed if people were treating me, really different.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like it's different for me because I have moved around so much that the people that have known me since like high school, I don't really see on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And none of them, even when I've gone to like visit them, obviously looking like a totally different person because I have changed a lot. None of them really said anything. It's just like, oh, it's still just like weirdo Amanda. But yeah, I have had like people like, especially here in Cincinnati, because when I moved to Cincinnati, I was already down over 100 pounds. And then like, so everybody that I met when I moved to Cincinnati in 2015 didn't really know any other version of me. So when people would see pictures of me when I was younger and before I lost weight and was just an unhealthier person, they're like, I don't even see it's you. Like my boss at the radio station, like every time he would see one of those pictures, he's like, the only reason I can tell it's you is because of your smile in your eyes. He's like, otherwise he's like, I can't see you in it at all. And then that's where for me, I'm like, I didn't take it in a bad way. I'm like, that's a compliment, right? I guess, like, again, that's just kind of a weird thing of like, you're so different, but it's like you never knew me then either. But if you did, would you still have those same sort of comments? Does that make sense? Of like, you can only, because it's just a picture, it's not a personality. So it's like via a picture, I guess it looks completely like a different person. I don't know. I'm just rambling.
No. No, I think sometimes I wish that people didn't like know me previously, because I always wonder if people have this, like, if they assume I'm going to like gain all the weight back or that kind of thing. Like I think about those things. Like, do they assume I just lost this weight and then I'm going to gain it all back? Or, it's would be different if they didn't know that I had lost all this weight, that this is just like who I am now.
So you're down 92 pounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been, because I know I've asked this before, but it's been a while. Like, how long have you been on this weight loss journey and how long have you kind of maintained that?
So in November, like the end of November, it'll be 2 years since I started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But see, that's where it's just slow. And I think that's important to share too, of like, when you see so many of these pictures or you talk about like losing that a significant amount of weight, of like, yeah, well, it took time, because how much time did you when you did that like all shake diet?
Ugh.
Like, how fast did you lose that weight?
50 pounds in 14 weeks.
Yeah, that's bananas.
So, yeah. So, and I lost, like, I guess I lost all this fairly slow. So, and I think that was different for me too, because like it took a little while for people to be like, oh my gosh, you've lost a lot of weight, where that was like so instant, the shakes, that it was all a very different experience. So, but I think that's the only reason that I've like, especially through quarantine and like this freaking pandemic, been able to maintain anything, is because I've like actually changed the way that I live.
Yeah, same. Like that's definitely given me some like better tools to deal with, because I feel like if you were just doing like an all shake diet right now in the pandemic, and where the state of mental health it feels like most of us are at right now, like that doesn't seem like that would be satisfying. I know for me, it's so funny. Like the first few months of quarantine, I'm like, I don't feel bad. Like I feel like, okay, I'm positive, glass is half full. And then just like the past month or so, it's like been just like a punch to the face of like, oh my God, like it just feels like it's just this tidal wave kind of rushing over a lot of people, myself included. And I found myself reverting back to a lot of like just, where my comfort is, of like the deep ingrained stuff in me of how I know how to like cope with trauma and bad feelings is food and stuff like that. And like, man, it's just like, if I didn't have any of this stuff built within me, it would be real bad right now. But I'm like, at least I have this sturdy foundation, even though it's like weathering the storm and it's not going perfectly. It's not sunny skies, but it's like, but I've built this thing where it wasn't, if I was just doing a fad diet or shakes or something, I'd be like, this is gone. Like I am just doing what I want.
Right. Yeah. because you can't do anything like that long term anyway. I got to the point where I was throwing up shakes because I couldn't even eat them anymore.
Just shakes
I was
only
drinking
for 14
I was drinking
weeks.
one on the way to work, like towards the end, and I like swallowed it and it came right back up. Like I couldn't even. It was like all over my steering wheel. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore.
I mean, that just sounds awful. Like just drinking nothing but shakes for 14 weeks.
I was desperate.
I mean, I get it. I totally understand where you were mentally. Like I 100% get it, but like, man, I don't know if I could. I mean, I probably could last that long because I can hunker down and get really serious and hardcore. But I think that, and then when it's over, you're like, okay, then how do you know how to handle the world, especially if you did something like that and you came right back out into a global pandemic?
Oh my God.
And now I don't want to get into a lot of the fear stuff, but it's like they're talking about like food shortages and stuff like that. I'm like, oh God, okay. I just don't want to hear about that right now.
No.
But yeah, I think that just, having those things built in every day, like you going to the gym, seeing Josh, are you still going to Planet Fitness?
Yeah. So I've been going there usually twice a week. Me and my coworker meet there, which is good because then like if I have a time and I'm meeting someone, I'm going to go. I'm not going to decide to just like sleep in. So
yeah, I just think that's so helpful of like having your place in a routine and kind of sticking to stuff that makes you feel good. Physically and mentally is just like, try to help weather the storm through all of this, no matter where. I know everybody's kind of all over the map how they're feeling right now. And I feel that's where I'm like, I don't have kids and dealing with going back to school. And so I'm like, that's one stressor I don't have. And I already feel super overwhelmed and stressed. I'm like, dang, like it's just 2021, be better.
I freaking hope.
Man,
I don't want to know what kind of person I'm going to be like if it's not better.
I know. I am psyched, though. I did read an article about how more people, and I've seen this already online, of like people already like jumping onto the Halloween bandwagon so early.
Yes.
But because it's just so comforting to get into the holidays, and like that does sound nice, of just like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those are like good vibes. You know what I mean? Of like, that seems familiar. It seems like happy times. Like, yeah, I'm like, if somebody put up their Christmas tree right now, I'd be like, I get you. I'm not going to shame you. I got it. And I get it. And so like, I feel like that's going to be a nice little like blankie for a lot of us, including myself, of like, this just like, at least something feels normal-ish. Although it's going to get whacked out when it comes to trick-or-treating, I'm sure. But yeah.
I saw a thing that said, I'm just going to put my tree up and call it a year.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I was like,
at this point,
I'm with you on that.
Once it stops being so dang hot outside, then, man, I might, like, this might be the first year I actually, like, I don't ever put up outside decorations because I've been so freaking busy every year. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go put them up now. Whatever.
Heck yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Girl, that's what we can do next time we hang out. Is just put up some Christmas lights.
There we go. I mean, I bought some on sale, and like after Christmas is over, some outdoor ones, and I just never put them up. And plus, my house is just like, I don't know, like I have like the high roof and stuff like that. I'm like, I am not climbing a ladder and pulling a Clark Griswold, so I just usually generally leave it dark. But all of my neighbors only do like the like, what is it called, the like star shine thing anyway, the thing that projects the snowflakes onto your house. So I don't live in a bougie neighborhood. So what are your plans for the rest of the week? Just or for next week? Just kind of stick to what you're doing. Anything obstacles, anything fun coming your way?
No, I don't think I have any obstacles this week, which is nice. So I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. So I've been like trying to be really strict on counting my calories again. And then, like making sure that I work out like 4 times a week. So
nice.
And drink lots of water. So
awesome. Well, we'll have to check in next week. I don't plan on being anywhere, so we can keep the train rolling so no one gets upset.
No one gets triggered.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, have a good week, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye, girl.
Bye.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.